Aloha and welcome back. We're going to continue on with part number 2 of the 6 cards with one kit. We're going to go right into card number 4. I'm going to use the Flower Explosion background stamp, Ranger sticky embossing powder, and the Versamark Dazzle ink pad. I'm going to prep my cardstock base with the embossing buddy and ink up my background stamp with the Versamark ink. Get a nice even coat on the whole stamp pad here. And I'm going to take my cardstock and just firmly press and get even amount of pressure on the cardstock here. Okay, lift that up. And you can see, because it's a colored cardstock now, you can kind of see the stamping that was left on the cardstock. And then using the sticky embossing powder, I'm gonna pour the powder over the stamped image. And then I do it over a scrap piece of paper so I can pick up all of the overflow and throw it back into the container there. Okay, and I'm gonna heat set the embossing powder. Right now you can see it's white, but because it's a sticky embossing powder, it's gonna heat set clear. Well, clear, but it's gonna be sticky. And I have an idea. I wanted it to be sticky because I'm planning to stick some foil on top of this background. So you can tell here it's sticking to my fingers. I'm able to lift it off a little bit off the surface. And I'm gonna use the Gina K foil that came in the card kit last month. I'm just gonna lay that over the whole background stamp. And I'm not gonna use the whole sheet that I'm embossing on or putting the foil on, but I wanted to make sure I had enough to play around with, so if I made a mistake I could always have an extra piece to work with. So here you can see I pulled it off and it didn't get everything. So I'm just going to go back over it with the foil and just varnish it on a little bit better and make sure that I have the foil in all of the places. So here I use the stitched edge die cut to cut a nice edge on that embossed paper there. And then I use the Tim Holtz matrix dots and embossed a white cardstock with that. Really nice texture on that one there. And I'm just gonna lay the piece that I had made over the top of that embossed cardstock on the bottom. Okay, and I did use the mom die cut again. I just can't get away from this mom die cut. I just love it. It's so beautiful. I cut it out of black fun foam, and I'm gonna layer the black cardstock cutout on top of the black fun foam to give it some dimension. So this is another way you can do it instead of doing it the way I've been doing it previously, where I stack so many of the cardstock pieces on top of each other. This will also give you dimension as well. Okay, and I'm gonna use some liquid adhesive again on the pink colored cardstock to adhere it to the embossed cardstock. And because the embossed cardstock is raised in places, you want to use liquid glue so that you can catch all the little raised pieces with the glue so that the cardstocks hold together nicely. And then here I'm just gonna put the mom die cut, scripty die cut right there with a little bit more adhesive, liquid adhesive. And it turned out really gorgeous. I like all of the embossing. And I cut out a little sentiment strip. You are incredible in every possible way. Added some foam adhesive to the back of that. I'm gonna place that right under the mom cutout. And that, my friends, is card number 4. I am gonna add, sorry, I forgot I was gonna add some Nuvo some Nouveau Clear drops to give it a little bit more dimension on the mom die cut there. So I'm just putting a nice layer on the big pieces. And then I learned this trick from watching a video at Jennifer McGuire's channel, where she took like a pokey tool and she just moved the Nouveau drops with her pokey tool to fill out the thin areas that is just a pain to get with the bottle. So here's card number 5, and I used the stamp set, and using the big flower stamp that comes in the stamp set, I'm linking that up with some archival ink jet black from Ranger, because I'm planning to do a watercolor piece. So the jet black is water resistant once it stamps on. I've stamped that 2 times and then flip the paper to the, flip the paper around to the other side. Is that how you say it? I flipped it so that I can stamp the same exact image in the same exact spot, just opposite side. And I stamped that 2 times to get a nice crisp impression. And then at this point, I took the leaves that come in the stamp set, and I'm going to be putting the leaves on either side of the flowers, and using the archival jet black ink as well. At this point, I would recommend actually that you make a mask, and you put the mask over the stamped flowered pieces that you already have on the cardstock there, so that you don't have to do this fiddling that I'm going to be doing. But I was pressed for time. I needed to get to work, and I wanted to get this card finished, so I just rubbed off the ink in the spots that I didn't want it to be, and then I'm gonna stamp it down. And I did that for both sides. And here I'm gonna use the Peerless watercolors. I have this from years ago, from a card kit that came in Simon Says stamp. And I'm going to be using my aqua pen and some clean water on the side. So first I'm going to be putting a nice thick layer of clean water. I want this piece to be like a really loose watercolor piece. So I want the colors to really flow and like take their own lead, take their own action. I just want to lay down some color in the spots I want to lay down, and then I want it to just take on its own little trails. So I'm going to be using the deep yellow from the Peerless watercolors that I have, and just real loosely putting some of the yellow in the centers. And I did squeeze my aqua pen, and it splattered all over that top yellow flower piece up there. So I'm just going to take my rag, and it's always good when you're doing watercoloring to just have like an old rag that you can pick up the ink with. And it did leave some color, but it's okay. Like I said, I wanted this to be a really loose watercolor piece. I'm not looking for any kind of perfection. And then here I'm gonna pick a red color in the kit, and I'm gonna try to say this word, hopefully I say it correctly. It's Japonica Scarlet. It's a really deep red. I love it. So I'm just gonna loosely, again, paint it onto the flower. I'm not taking any care to stay in the lines. I'm just laying color down where the outline of the flower is. I'm very lightly pressing on my aqua pen as well, just to make sure I keep the water flowing in my aqua pen. So at this point, you're gonna see that the bottom part of this flower that I'm painting actually takes its own lead and starts to spread out to the right hand side of the flower. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm not gonna try to stop it, or I'm just gonna let it go and take on its own little path. it also, like on the bottom left, it went into that leaf there on the bottom as well. I'm going to do the same process with the flower on the bottom of the cardstock. I'm just really trying to make the middle of the flower a little darker than the outsides of the flower. I tried to pick up a little bit of that red color, picked up whatever I could, and that was that. And then I moved on to the light green. I want to get more water going on the leaves, so I just put more clean water on top of the leaves there so that it could do its own little flow, its own little path. So here I am putting some of the light green on. I'm going to do that to all 4 leaves. Really just trying to concentrate on putting more ink towards, like, closer to the flower piece than the parts that are further from the flower piece. And I did have a little too much water, so I just sopped it up with my rag. All right, and there we go. I like how it's, especially that bottom leaf or on the left hand side, I like how it just really went from the darker at the bottom and then it spread it out to the lighter at the top. And you can see how the two flower, the red just really started taking its own little shape. Even the green did too. But I love that. That's exactly what I was looking for. Just a really like messy, organic style of watercolor. And I have this Stampin' Up! Tea stain ink I got years ago, and I just decided I wanted to use this and do some splatters on my piece. So I'm taking a really thin brush with a little bit of water, and then I'm just gonna, from a couple of inches above, and just splatter on some of this tea stain ink. It gives it more of an organic feel. And I do want to mention that you kind of, you know, if you could cover your work surface with some kind of paper or, you know, matte, because there was tea stain spots all over my workspace. But using this shimmer mist here, I'm gonna just shimmer or spray from a couple inches above. I let that piece dry overnight, and I came back in the morning, of course, because I had to work that night, but I came back in the morning, it was nice and dry. I cut out the same die cut, the same Scripty Mom die cut, because I just can't get away from it, it seems like. And I cut the shadow piece out of the gold foiled cardstock that I used in the previous video. And I'm just going to place that right smack in the middle. I just love, I mean, looking at it now, it is kind of Christmassy, but it's really pretty. I like the colors. Okay. And at this point, I decided to use a teal colored cardstock that's from Simon Says Stamp. I just wanted the contrast. I was going to go with white, and then I was going to go with black, and then I was going to go with gray, but I decided, you know what, the teal, for some reason, it just really stuck out. So I used a big creative and stuck that piece on there. Moving on to card number 6, I did want to use those cutouts that came in the kit. I've been dying to use it. I wanted to do a shaker card, but again, I was pressed for time, a busy schedule this week, so I just made it really simple. I glued the cutout to that gold foiled cardstock. I really took inspiration from my nail polish color. It's kind of funny, but it's like a pink and gold tone. And at this point, I felt like I needed more dimension, so I grabbed another piece of the cutout here, and I'm just gonna layer it right on top to give it a little bit more dimension. I'm using the two-way glue pen. It's like the simplest, the best way to do it. and just lay it right on top. I used my aqua shimmer pen here, and I'm just gonna lay on some shimmer all on the butterflies. I'm gonna try to, you can see it a little on this shot here, but I am gonna turn my overhead light off, and I think you can see it better with just the natural light coming in from my window. Think so, maybe not. Anyway, it's really, really, really glittery, shimmery. It's super pretty. So at this point, I'm using the craft cardstock that came in the kit this month, or sorry, for Mother's Day. And it's kind of reminding me of a Hawaiian quilt pattern. It's really, yeah, it's super pretty, but it reminds me of like a Hawaiian quilt. I'm gonna place that in the middle, trying to make sure I get it all placed correctly. But you can see the shine and the dimension. There you catch a little glimpse of the glitter on top of the butterflies. It's really pretty. And again, because I can't get away from that mom die cut, I'm going to use the mom die cut, and I used a darker piece of chipboard and put that right in the middle. And I'm going to use the shimmer pen again and get the mom die cut full of shimmer and glitter. And it really does remind me of like a Hawaiian quilt. I'm going to use the clear Nuvo drops again. Same technique. I'm going to put it, lay a layer on top of the thicker pieces of the die cut, and then use like a, well, in my case I was using an X-Acto knife. And using the X-Acto knife, and I'm going to spread it into the thinner areas. I used the gold thickers that came in the kit, the hearts, and then I did put a couple of the peaches and cream sequence on it as well. And here is some still shots of the cards that I made of card number 4, 5, and 6. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial and you had fun and got inspired with this kit. I shall see you on the next video. Have a great day, and mahalo for watching.